My grandfather once said that he'll either end up in jail or he'll be a multimillionaire.
Welcome, my friends, to another incredible episode of Purpose-Driven Progress. I'm your host, Jacob Hicks, sales coach, success coach, and speaker. And today, guys, I've really got a, honestly, guys, really become a great friend of mine in just kind of a short period of time. So he's a really awesome dude. Because today I'm bringing on a serial entrepreneur, McKenzie Macka Pemberton-Whiteley, whose journey has taken him from the UK to Mexico, and from online clothing brand to cutting-edge sales and marketing software. Macka has built multiple ventures around the power of knowing what people want and how to reach them, especially on platforms like LinkedIn. He's a senior advisor on growth projects, a big believer in that sales and marketing are the king and queen of business, and he once left the corporate world behind the moment he realized he'd learned enough to bet on himself. And if we're lucky, we might get him to talk about tracksuits, Louis Vuitton, and his fascination with sharks. Macka, my friend, welcome to the show.
Jacob, it's great to be here. I appreciate you taking the time and having me on. But yeah, we've had a friendship over a very short period of time, man.
Yeah, I would say so. Because we've spent, maybe an hour together over the last 3 or 4 weeks or whatever it's been. So I've really been stoked to have you on the show, man.
Yeah, I've been looking forward to it. I've really been looking forward to it. We had a really good chat last time. I think we had a podcast last time that we just happened to not record, basically. Right?
Which is a good problem to have, right? But so I'm glad we've got you on the show. So, we've got a lot to unpack there in that little introduction. So, can we kind of give us the cliff notes a little bit? I know you're a sales guy, kind of like I am. But just tell us a little about you and how you got to where you are.
Yeah. Oh God, long story. I'll try and cut it as short as possible. My grandfather, who's no longer with us, he once said, I found this out fairly recently, McKenzie will either end up in jail or he'll be a multimillionaire. Oh, that's true. I've already hit one of those marks, so let's try and hit the other one, hey? I started and I went to university, followed that path. I went to a private school, and they were just, pushing everyone, go to university for their results.
Yep.
And I just realized halfway through a lecture of a guy teaching me about contract law, and he was teaching us recipes because students first year don't know how to cook. And I was like, doing the maths in my head, like, this guy owes me about £600. Like just because of the time that I paid for him to teach me recipes, like what is all this about? And I just walked down to the dean's office and was like, this is it. I'm dropping out. I'm dropping out of university. I went and worked some manual laboring jobs. Never been afraid to just do a job. There's no job above or below me in that sort of sense. And it paid me. Did the job, saved up money, came to Mexico 2 weeks before the world locked down, and got a call from some random number. Hey, it's your Uncle Richard, and you need to come live with us. And so I called my dad, and I do have an Uncle Richard. You do need to go stay with him. Okay, gotcha, cool. Okay, traveled around Mexico for a year, ran out of money, as you can imagine, but met my fiance, and so we went back to England, and I started working in sales, and within 3 weeks, I'd broken the company's record week for sales. So from there, it just sort of was like, maybe I'm good at this sales thing. I don't know. I'd already been a FTSE 250 team leader for a utilities company in the UK, managing 15 people when I was 18. So I was like, yeah, okay, let's double down. And, the typical dad advice, why don't you just go get a job that, pays you money, like in a supermarket, something like that.
Yep.
You get money in your pocket. He said, you're going to pay to go and sell spray foam insulation. And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna be commission only based. That's how this is gonna work. So he's like, you're gonna pay to drive around and do that. And I remember my first sale that first week, last call of the week. It's about 5 o'clock on a Friday, and I got a 2-hour drive home, and I made £500. And I was there thinking, maybe he was right. Maybe I should have got this job in a supermarket. And then I went from this company, and I moved onwards and upwards, and started doing a few other jobs. Became a senior business development manager. Went on to become an enterprise consultant. Became a director of another company. Or was sort of running in the background, just Instagram messaging people for sort of my dream, running a clothing business. And yeah, 4 years later, just as I start one business, sod's law, the other business starts to do well as well after 4 years. So I'm now a serial entrepreneur and a serial non-sleeper.
I love it, man. Well, I tell you, like, I don't know if you feel the same way, but like, I mean, entrepreneurship, I mean, I feel like it's kind of put on a pedestal sometimes, again, just like the regular everyday world where it's like, oh, everybody needs to be an entrepreneur, right? And I mean, like, maybe that's true to some degree, but I mean, it's a lot of hard work. And like, there's like, I'm sure you know too, where there's days where you're just on top of the world, you feel like $1,000,000. And then there's, the next day or even that later that afternoon where like someone just hits you in the face and you're like, man, like, what am I even doing? I mean, has that been true in your experience?
Yeah, there's days you wake up at 8:31 when you're meant to have been on a podcast at 8:30. I mean, it's we'll roll out of bed like, oh my God, I was working till 4 o'clock last night. And you just have to embrace that. And I went back home just to see my family and do some stuff for my clothing business when I was in England, and we had a quick trip to Venice, which was nice. But yeah, people aren't aware of the sacrifices. Like, there's the sacrifices you sort of think you might have to take, and then there's the sacrifices you need to take, like you're actually going to have to make. And I spoke to my mum's. My mum's probably one of her most intelligent friends, definitely her richest friend, and he said, "You are aware you're not going to have friends, and probably not really even family for the next 20 years, right? Like that's something you're aware of if you want to do this properly." And I don't think it had really hit me. I mean, I'd been sacrificing on the sleep. I'd been, doing 20 hours, having heart problems because of it, getting some hypertension, things like that. And people don't know how much you are going to have to really put away, and how you're not going to speak with your friends. You might have to be living on a different time zone. I couldn't do this job from the UK and be trying to do this and working till 2 a.m. every day as disrupting my sleep pattern. So, I'm stuck here in Mexico. I'm stuck. I can't go anywhere else, which is a real shame. Real shame.
I know. I feel really sorry for you.
Yeah, I know. You can see I was enjoying the sun too much the other day on the beach when I got back. So, going back to your question, people do put it a bit on a pedestal, right? Is that
well? Also, I was going to say, like, I think you're right. Like, you're not going to have. I mean, like, if you're working like a flat 40 hours at some W-2 job someplace, like, you're not going to have that as an entrepreneur. Like, you have to. You just have to grit it out at the end of the day, I think. I mean, I really believe that regardless if you're an entrepreneur, if you're a salesperson, if you're, anybody doing anything, I think your success comes down to your grittiness. Like, how willing are you to continue? Like when somebody clocks you in the face and you're not getting the sales that you want, you're not getting the conversions that you want, and people aren't lining up out the door to buy whatever you're selling. Like, you just have to grit it out. Like, do you agree with that? Do you think grit is like a huge piece of this?
The biggest piece, the best piece of advice that I received was from my brother-in-law, and he just said, "I have 100% success belief that you'll be successful in this if you can be patient."
Yes,
patience is something that I was lacking, and entrepreneurship punched me in the face with patience.
Yes,
it really. So I do a lot of marketing work with financial advisors and things, and you can imagine, there's volatility in things here, and so, I'm looking to close a deal. I know their phones are ringing off the hook with their clients, and I have to just wait for their reply because they have to take care of their clients first in the same way I have to take care of my clients first, right? Like, so just being patient and going, they're not going to reply to me today until the end of the evening, until, late PST, they're not going to reply to me. Or other situations where it's like, you think you've got this lead and they're in your crosshairs, and you think that's going to be XYZ deal, which is going to provide. And you get your brain thinking all of those steps ahead because you need to prepare for those steps ahead.
Yep.
And that deal doesn't go through, those steps don't happen. You have to quickly be on the bounce. You have to be making up new plans, going ahead with things, moving forward. And I think as we sort of spoke about a little bit before, maybe that's where AI's really come in and helped people.
Yeah. Well, so I wanted to get into some of those things. So, like, as you said, like it seems like every time we get together, we have like just a bunch of stuff to say to each other about, I mean, great conversations, but I want to make sure to get it on the podcast too. So yeah, let's dive into some AI stuff because I know we're both utilizing it. Um, I mean, like fairly frequently, right? And we're both trying to figure out how to use it to its best ability to allow, solo guys like you and me to really leverage our time. So I just kind of talk through like, how are you using it?
Yeah, so I utilize it in the sense of I use ChatGPT more than anything,
Yep.
really, and I help implement it across clients as well. When I was back in England, I went into a manufacturing business and showed them the power of how they could be using ChatGPT for all of their inefficiencies, and they were like begging me, please come back on Monday, please come back on Monday. They've cut down to a 4-day week, and they were saying, we
Okay.
need you to come back in on Monday. This is on the Thursday, and I was like, yeah, sure, I can come in and keep teaching you guys these systems. And I think we think AI is going to be this great equalizer, but again, I think people are using it for companionship. People are using it as Google. I was using it as Google until only a few months ago, and it's really starting to change the game. Anyone who really knows how to use it and is really utilizing this to a greater extent, it's going to be a bit like the tech revolution, and things
Yes.
are going to be more unequal than ever. The people who are programming it are now going to be the most powerful individuals in the world. The people who are utilizing it in the best ways possible are going to be the richest people in the world. 10% of my net worth is in, oh no, more than this. 25% of my net worth is in AI, besides my business,
Yeah.
in investments. So, yeah.
I mean, I think you're absolutely right. Like, I mean, it's like every other tool, right? Like, if you can swing a hammer really, really well, like I mean, that's a really high skill set, right? And I think AI, I would argue, is like a hugely versatile thing that you can teach it to like write different prompts for you, or to write this, that, or the third, or like to use it for like companionship, like you were saying. I know for me, like I've figured out that you have to train it. Like you have to train it to like, hey, I want you to help me write, X, Y, and Z blog post. Here are some other, some other things I've written before. Here's kind of the format that I'm shooting for. And like a lot of the time, at least for me, it'll get me like 70-80% of the way there. Where I think it's like, a decent post or a decent whatever it is. Something else that I've found for me personally in AI that's really helped me is if I say, hey, I want you to do such and such task. I'll say, here's what I want. Here's a task I want you to perform. Here's the parameters I want you to utilize. And then I will ask it, okay, or I'll say to it, okay, ask me any questions that you need in order to perform this task well. And then it'll ask me, like, I mean, it kind of depends, right? Sometimes it'll ask me like, hey, here's, 4 or 5 questions just for like clarification's sake, like a person would. And then sometimes like, no, hey, we've done this in the past. I feel like we're pretty solid on what we're driving towards. So I'm just going to run with it. And like, that's been a big game changer. Have you found like any of those kind of like weird little, I don't know, kind of tricks or tips in your own working with AI?
Yeah, big time. I 80/20 everything. Everything I
Yeah.
do with ChatGPT. I used Sam Altman's perfect prompt initially, and I put it in there, and I was like, I want you to 80/20 everything like this. I want you to format this. A big one's update memory, because
Yes. Yes.
don't remember, but if you don't actually prompt it, so a lot of people don't understand really how LLMs work. And so, were you familiar with the strawberry question that it was being asked? So it was saying that there were 2 R's in strawberry.
Okay.
You could ask all of them, Gemini, ChatGPT, etc. And it said, you say, how many R's are in strawberry? And it would come up saying 2. And I think we all know a 3-year-old, 4-year-old knows there's 3 R's in strawberry, right?
Yep.
It doesn't actually read your question. That's not how it's all code. It just sort of basically like imprints it, like grabbing a screenshot, and then just pings a thing back to you. If I have to sort of sum it up in a short way for this podcast. And so, think and explain. I can literally take a lead off what my clients want as a qualified lead. Let's take a financial advisor, for example. They say, they need to have at least 500K assets under management, investable assets. And I can just grab someone's LinkedIn profile and say to ChatGPT, answer me with just a yes or a no. Is this a qualified lead for X client? And it'll ping yes. I'll say, okay, think and explain why. And it'll come back and regurgitate and explain, oh no, I'm actually putting this person on a qualified call with this lead. Or no, and I'll check and I'll see why it says no. And it's going to get it wrong. Like you say, it's 80% of the way there. It'll say, no, because you've mentioned that it needs to be a CEO founder working with someone 2 million to 20 million in revenue. And they might be like a senior managing director. So it's just missed and I'm going to have to update. Okay, it mainly focus on the 2 to 20 million as the main driver of qualification in this situation, right?
Yeah.
But wow, no, it's a time saver, and it just allows you to be able to go out there and scale in the way that I've sort of scaled in, God, like 7-8 months, because utilizing it and not having to use my time to be going back and forward and finding things, I can put my time otherwhere and just be crushing other bottlenecks and doing other things with my time and focusing on scaling in other areas that just previously these opportunities just were not available to you.
Yeah. 100%. When I love that. And we were kind of talking again, we were talking offline, right? Shocking to everybody listening. But we were talking about, like you mentioned in in my introduction for you, that we both kind of agree that like the king and queen of business is sales and marketing, right? Like kind of two sides of the same coin here. And we specifically were talking about like messaging, where a lot of people get like the messaging wrong or they need to tweak it in some way. Can you speak more to that?
Yeah. I would recommend to pretty much anyone who's doing any kind of outreach, and I send this book often to my clients, is Influenced by Robert Cialdini. Cialdini. And go read that and make sure your message isn't longer than 30 words. Make sure you have a question. Make sure you just have a simple 2-liner. Please don't be sending any A4 messages. I will not be accepting your request. I will not be replying to your follow-ups. I will not be reading your message. I'm an early stage founder, and I don't have the time to do these things. And you're reaching out to execs, CEOs, etc. They don't have the time for these things. So these people work on your messaging. It's so important. It's the most important thing that I can say is just, if you're going to learn how to outreach, learn basic copy. Just even basic copy, and then a bit like yourself, templatize these things, messages that you see work well, put them into your ChatGPT. What if there are 5 variations of this message? Go away and split test those variations.
Yes.
Once you polish them up and things like that. But please, people, no more A4 messages in my LinkedIn. Please stop it.
Yeah, I think we both get more than a few of those every week.
Yeah, a few of those a week I wouldn't mind. It's the 50 that I'm getting that I'm saying, I'll add you to my network, but I know I'm just going to ignore this message and get hit with 2 brutal follow-ups as well.
Yes. Yep. So, I mean, you kind of spoke to this a little bit already when we're talking about the messaging piece, because I feel like there's like a few kind of critical, I don't know, like steps or just pieces to this where, like, yes, you need to refine like your messaging, right? But like the follow-up piece is also like a key part of all this thing. And then also what you mentioned earlier, where like you talk the split testing, right? For those who may not know, that's when you're trying different messages to see to compare the results, right? To see, all right, does A work better? Does B work better? Like what are we getting here? So like in both, again, like in like the messaging, like in like the outreach, the sales piece of it, like how do you view like this whole like experimentation piece? I know I speak to this a lot on the podcast, but like how do you view experimentation and trying different things to see how you can get new results?
I mean, nothing risked, nothing gained. Like nothing mentioned, gained in that sense. And you might have the winning message that you're using, and you might revert back. Like I had 3 weeks where I was trying and grabbing all the data, and I'd already been using a message that was just performing really well. So I thought, how can I tweak that and make it work a little bit better? And boom, just reply rates dropped through the floor. It was awful. And I was like, just such a small tweak can make all of that difference to the reply rate that you're getting on in this sense. And the things you don't know, it's a bit like getting into business. You don't know what's going to work until it actually sort of works or doesn't. Sometimes you just need to experience that. And you've got to be advocating and always trying new things. I mean, same as life, right? If you don't try new things, How do you know what you like? If you imagine if you never ate different foods, you're just going to eat the same food. You're just going to eat beef for the rest of your life. Hey, maybe beef is your favorite meat, but
Yeah.
you might still like chicken. You might want salmon every once in a while. You might want some prawns. Like you might want to eat lamb. Like you've got to actually really be trying and reaching out there with different messages for sure.
Yeah. So I guess like when it comes to like both like the messaging and the experimentation piece, when you are maybe like first working with a client who maybe has never done much outreach in the past and they want to like add that component, what, and you kind of spoke to this already a little bit already, but like when you're trying, like let's say you're trying like 4 or 5 messages at once to see what kind of results, like how are you qualifying like, hey, this message is working for us, these messages are not, and then how are you identifying what pieces you want to like change or tweak to try something new?
Great question. So I try not to change too many things at once. So if I'm going to run different messages, hey, we're going to keep the same target audience because I don't want to be flipping things. And hey, it could come out really well, but I don't then know whether the target audience is the good thing, the message is the good thing. Would a different message that I previously used be resonating better with that target audience? So it was just the target audience and I could have just kept with my message and got 3 times the reply rate, for example.
Yeah.
I don't want to be messing around with too many things. Try and focus on one singular thing. Hey, I'm going to change this message. For this campaign, I'm just going to change this message. And then I can compare side by side, apples versus apples, what's actually working in this situation. And then again, similar with sort of targeting as well. You can go out there and try different targets because you might have the right message for the wrong people.
Yeah. Yeah. Which I think is I was going to say, I think that's a huge tip. I mean, exactly. Like I think you hit the nail on the head because I mean, that's a whole nother component to this, right? Where like, I feel like so many entrepreneurs like don't realize who they're like, they just want anybody and everybody, right? Like any dollar is a good dollar, which isn't, I mean, I think in early stages, if you're trying to keep the lights on like that, maybe can make sense, right? But I think we need to, as quickly as we can, we need to get past that point to the point where we can start to say, no, like I do not want, these kind of founders in this kind of industry for these particular reasons, right? So when you are, again, like starting to work with somebody like, hey, I want to start getting outreach to, and on LinkedIn or whatever as a component to my business, how are you walking them through some of these? Like, how do you help them identify their target audience?
Great question. So I say, if you could rub a magic lamp and your perfect ideal client will pop out, what does that look like? For another deep-based question of, well, who are your favorite 5 clients? Tell me more about those clients that you already work with. Oh, well, I like Bob because of this and John because of this and this and this and this. Okay, let's see what similarities they have. Okay, they're industry agnostic. Interesting. But they all fall within the 30 to 45 range. For example, they're all X, Y, Z. I have one client who loves working with the LGBT community, lives in San Diego, and he's like my favorite clients. So when we're doing the LinkedIn search for him, the keynotes I've put just to narrow things down, he/him, she/her, they/them, and like slash that target audience by 80% at least, because you just really need to know. I mean, I'm going to take a little bit of a turn here. I hope you don't mind, Jacob.
Yeah.
I know we all know ads are the king of marketing, right? Like ads really are the top level, but people jump into, hey, I'm going to run ads and I'm just going to do this, but they haven't worked on the foundations of who are my own target audience that I want to reach out to. What are the pain points that I need to be addressing here? Because again, we're emotion-based creatures. We only get 3 to 5% of this prefrontal cortex. The rest is all a pre-language animal brain that we're working with here. So it needs to be pain-driven, needs to be intriguing enough for them to reply. Needs to be some sort of like almost subliminal call to action. But I think if you're actually going straight in there with a call to action in your first message on a cold outreach to someone, people hate that. I hate that. So I always think they're a bit like chess. Okay, if I send this message, what message would I send if I was in their position? Okay, well, if they would reply that, then I know what my follow-up is likely going to be, so I can tailor this around. And that comes with, again, sort of polishing the things up, really narrowing down on who your ICP is, really getting acquainted with them. And if you can, just go and speak with as many of them as you can. A lot of people just go straight into ads and they spend, God knows what, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 a month on an agency plus whatever they want to spend in ads. And they're like, oh, my business
Yeah.
is like, did you know the pain points of your audience? Did you know who
Yeah.
you're actually trying to target and then retarget? And then, like we mentioned, follow up with, like, it's, yeah.
I think you're absolutely right. Where well, there's a couple of things we're touching on here. The first is like kind of a thing I learned early on in my sales career, which I'm sure you're familiar with. It's the difference between prospecting and marketing, right? Where a lot of people see like marketing, where like you are posting something on the social medias, right? You've been super consistent doing that, doing the ads and all that kind of good stuff, right? And that's like somebody like you just like see like you're watching a TV show or a YouTube or whatever, and like some ad pops up and you're like, okay, whatever, right? You scroll past it. And then prospecting is that piece like that we've been talking about, where you are doing like that potentially that cold outreach to somebody and saying like, hey, do you want to talk more about whatever this thing is, right? Like those are the main differences. And one, as you said, marketing can get real expensive really, really quickly. Prospecting can too, depending on what your tools you're utilizing. But I mean, they both have to work together, right? And we have to do both too. We have to be really consistent with it too. Cause I mean, like there's been so many sales folks that I've worked with in my professional practice or like just in my sales career, where like they think that sales is like kind of this roller coaster, right? Which it is to some degree, right? You're going to have like slow periods, of course, but it also, a lot of those slow periods can be, mitigated to some degree if you are making sure that you are prospecting consistently, right? Like, how do you feel like that consistency plays into like the marketing and the sales piece here?
Same as with the business. And I think the most important thing in life is consistency. But the thing is,
Yes.
it's also most difficult. So I sort of struggled with, when I was starting a business, being consistent and disciplined. So I built my own day around, well, what would a bit like the question I asked my clients, what would my perfect day look like? Oh, well, I wake up and I have a coffee, if I'm not waking up late. I wake when I have a coffee. I go for a walk. I build gym time in. I build stretching time into my day. So that helps me be consistent in terms of like, again, animal brain, getting rewarded for going away and doing this work and this consistency. And I think that's what a lot of people, especially with things becoming so heavily regulated nowadays, they're really word of mouth reliant. And that's great because, again, they're the best leads. You should be closing 90 to 95% of any referrals, right?
Yes. Yeah.
If you're a semi-decent salesperson, but you're chasing that hot lead, don't take your eye off the pipeline as well, which I think is why a lot of people now are lacking systems, like sort of a bit like we provide, that are running in the background, because you need to naturally chase that hot lead, because that could be the person that closes. But the issue is you go and close that hot lead, and then you have to go back to prospecting and you start all over again. Or even worse, you go away and you don't close that hot lead and you've just devoted all your time to it, and then you still have to go back to prospecting again. So making sure that you can go in and have a heavy outbound system, cold email, outreach through LinkedIn, whatever it might be, DMs, however you're going about doing things, that needs to be running for you, and you need to be leveraging that as well as what you're already doing, because the benefit of that is that you can then highly disqualify. I disqualify 80% of people who jump on my calls, and it might just be, I don't like the guy and I don't want to work with him.
Yes.
I don't want to be here in business going, God, I got to jump on a call with this guy. He's going to feel that. I'm going to feel that. And it can be just like, hey, look, I tell people off the bat, there's 3 reasons why you wouldn't work with me, predominantly 2. 1, we are not a fit for everyone. I will take no as gracefully as I will take a yes. So, as long as you're genuinely telling me, no, like this isn't for me, I don't think this is a good fit, I'm absolutely fine with that. There's nothing wrong. I don't want you to be going away and saying, I think about it because you think you're going to protect my feelings. I don't have feelings in that sense. You're doing me a favor by not keeping me on this hook of, oh, is the person going to come through? Are they going to reply to my follow-up in a month like they want me to? They're not. Let it go. Just like Frozen, right? Let it go.
Yes.
Well, they're off that call. If you've not booked them in and you've not got them in within the next few days, most likely it's great when they come through, but just don't be reliant on those ones. So learn to let them go, but also be aware of a lot of the sales come in the follow-up, right? In terms of people are busy. People are putting out fires. People have kids. People have to go and do their own lives. People have their wife yelling at them when they walk through the door. They're not there thinking about, God, well, I've got to go and reply to Jacob or Macka's email or his LinkedIn message, right? That's not their top of mind all the time. So yeah, really having something that's consistent, and you being consistent with outreaching as well as consistent with follow-up. Yeah, I think one thing that I heard really, really good individual I used to work with, Paul Daly. He used to run Iman Ghazi's Grow Your Agency.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Former Grow Your Agency, then changed to Educate. And I was on a call with him the other day, and he just mentioned, look, inefficiencies at scale are so much better than efficiencies at scale. And then it sort of hit me like, hey, that's already what I'm doing with my most basic service of offering you my software. And then layering on top of that, I'm layering on top of an efficiency of, here's my marketing skills as well. So you can take what you're already doing with LinkedIn and 4 to 6x what you're doing whilst you reduce your prospecting time by like 95+%. If I tell you it's higher than that, you won't believe me, but it is higher than that. It's about 99.99%. But I tell people 87% on my website and things, because it's just running in the background. And so you just keep those, and then layering on top another layer of efficiency in terms of, okay, we're marketers, right? So you get someone 10 leads if you're running a lead gen agency.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's great. How many are they going to close? Are they going to close 1 or 2 maybe? What if you can get them to 3 or 4? And that's where we layer on top our extra efficiency as well, where we actually help people close deals in terms of teaching them, again, the sort of queen of business in terms of sales.
I love that, man. I love that. Well, and I don't want to gloss over something. I think you said it's really, really important. And again, I talk about it a lot. It's the follow-up piece, right? Like if you get like, just like your ideal client, like you said before, like you rub a lamp and a genie comes down, you say like, give me my ideal client, and they pop up in front of you, right? And you have a good conversation, but maybe like the timing is right, or maybe the finances need to get some things figured out. And then you just like ghost them, right? Because you think, oh, well, they must not be interested, right? Because they haven't called, they haven't responded in my, to my 2 texts or whatever it is. Like, I mean, I read stats the other day that just like I still consider myself a sales guy, right? But it just kind of make my heart hurt a little bit, where I saw that 1 out of every 2 salespeople and business people don't follow up more than once, and 80% of business is earned in 5 or more follow-ups. And it's like, in the one sense, it's like, it's such a bummer, right? Because like, if it's just like you said, it's just emailing or like dropping a call that they're probably not going to pick up. And just doing those things consistently will earn you so much more business over the long term. Because we all have those stories of, I met this guy, this one thing, and I thought we hit it off. I never heard from him for like 2 years, and then all of a sudden he picked up the phone and said, "Hey man, I need your help doing whatever it is you got going on," right? Yeah. So just like establishing that follow up consistently is hugely, hugely critical. But on the other side of it too, it almost kind of makes me excited because the bar is so low, right? Like just the fact that I'm following up well, like means that I'm probably doing better than a lot of people. I mean, how do you feel about people's follow up?
So really interestingly, I mentioned obviously that I went back to England, and the reason I went back to England to deliver 3 custom tracksuits to rappers.
Yep.
Now, I'm looking in my Instagram messages and I'm like, I wonder when I first reached out to him, and it's like March 2021. Like, he delivered him a tracksuit the other day. Like, I messaged him for 4 years. He's a busy rapper. Like, he's got stuff that's on his plate. He didn't like what I had to offer. I went away. I'd been refining my skills. I came back. I'd been improving. I got him on the hook. I was like this. He's like, that's not what I really like. And I'm like, don't worry, we can do X, Y, Z, blah, 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 blah. Oh, maybe this would be more along the lines. And I was like, okay. And then again, with the follow-up, even though he was already interested, it's like, hey, I'm going to need some cooperation now at this point. But without that follow-up for 4 years of him not replying, I wouldn't have been able to just go and give him 2 tracksuits that he's now going to go and market for me, go away and put in videos, all of these sorts of things. And it's just sort of like, I think it's one of those things, sometimes people have to touch the fire to get burned to realize that it's hot. We can tell you follow-up's important, but unless you've sort of really seen that and experienced that yourself, you might not understand the severity with which we're talking. And I'm using the word severity specifically because 80% of your business is coming through follow-up. Is that not the best way to do it? I 80-20 everything. Where does 80% of my revenue come from? Great, I'm going to focus on that 20%. So I focus on making sure I have that volume that's going out, and then making sure I'm following up with the people who were already interested. Because once I've already got them to reply and say they were interested, that's already qualified them. And then build on top of that, and let's qualify them some more and get them on a phone call. I'm going to quickly qualify them before I get them on a sales call. And then by the time I get them on a sales call, I already know whether they're going to be a good fit or not. Yeah. And it's all about, okay, well, what type of good fit? Is timing right for this? Then the other factors come into play, but I've at least tried to mitigate as many of the factors as I can before getting on the call. And I still heavily disqualify about 80% of the people. So
yes,
if I didn't do these things.
So I love that. Well, I think, I mean, again, you hit the nail on the head. Like, it comes down to like that grit. Like you said, like you followed up with that guy. Do you have any idea how many messages you sent that guy over the last, 4 years or whatever?
An embarrassing number.
A bunch, right? A bunch. Yeah. And like, that's what you need to be doing. Like, just follow up consistently will get you there. There's one other thing I want to kind of take a pivot here a little bit, Mac, if you don't mind. So I really want to get your sense on something here. So in my especially in my coaching experience, it seems like a lot of like the salespeople and the salespeople and the entrepreneurs, they have like these goals, right? That they set. Like, everybody has goals, right? Like, hey, I want to grow my business X amount. I want to try to hit quota. I want to do this, that, and the third, right? Which are great. Like, those are great things. But it feels like, at least in my experience, so many people are missing like that long-term vision, where they, like you said before, like you said, your ideal days, you wake up at X time, you have a cup of coffee, you do this, you go to the gym, all that kind of stuff, right? And so many people just don't have that, and they're trying to hit their goals, but they're not building toward a vision of what the life that they actually want to lead. I mean, do you agree with that? And how do you feel like visioning has been impactful in your own life?
I think sort of manifestation and sort of envisioning what I want, and really, I have a gratitude journal. I give myself up to whatever higher power there is. I don't believe in necessarily a God as such, but there, in my eyes, there is something that is considerably larger than us, and we are all an expression of that. And I think that's why sometimes you get along with people well. And yeah, the putting again, it sort of falls back to you fall down. You don't rise to your goals. You fall to your habits, right?
Yes, James Clear.
I've sort of butchered the quote a little bit, but if you're not doing something consistently every single day to sort of move the needle, there are other people out there. Like we said, the bar is so low. There are other people out there who are working their butts off, and they might not be as smart as you, but they're going to work every single day. And that hard work beats talent when the talent doesn't work hard. I know it's so cliche.
Yes, it's true. It's true, though.
Friends, you wouldn't be the people going, they're going to be the ones who are successful when they're older, but they just had the ability to just get punched in the face over and over again.
Over and over, yes.
And they just I've decided I'm just not a good employee. I'm just not a good employee. I don't like someone telling me you have to do X, Y, and Z at this time. If I've made a decision with myself that I'm doing X, Y, and Z, that's a completely different ballpark, right? Right. I don't let my mom tell me what to do. I'm not going to let you tell me what to do just because you pay my commission or X, Y, and Z. So I went fully into the entrepreneurship level, and I'll be living in the streets before I go back to a job.
Yes, I think I got to tell you, like, I totally agree with you. I don't know if I'm a very good employee either. And I was a sales guy for a long time. I tried to go back to like your 9-to-5, W-2 kind of just straight salary job. Couldn't do that. I don't think I could go back to a W-2 job anymore, honestly. And I think it's just, you're right. It just comes down to your willingness to get it done, right? Like just keep showing up, keep getting punched in the face. And like, you have that idea of what is it you really want. And like, I think like that question that you asked, I ask that again, my own coaching practice all the time, is what does your ideal day look like? Because so many people have no idea, right? Like they haven't taken they haven't had the intentionality or the time or whatever to sit down for 20 minutes, half an hour to say, okay, this is what my ideal day really looks like. And then again, the perfect world. And like, just having that kind of clarity is huge in my opinion.
Yeah, it's like when I was working for Eman,
Hmm.
You would jump on a call with someone on an onboarding call and you'd go through what their goals, challenges, etc. were. And he'd run an
Yeah.
ad where he said you can run an agency and it can be 10K a month. And 99% of people, as in I'd coach 600 people, and 99% of them would all say 10K a month. And it didn't matter whether they were 65, whether they were 14, whether they're a college student, whether they're 30. And I'm like, why 10K a month? Oh, well, because it'll give me money to, okay. But why not 20K a month? Or do you not think 5K a month would actually do that for you? Or maybe it's 7.5. Like, you haven't actually really put any thought into it. You've been got by the marketing.
Yep.
And it's 10K a month has to be the goal that I have. And with social media and seeing people flexing watches and this, it can be a bit like, oh, right. Okay. But no, if you don't have clarity, the word aim comes from the Greek word, no, to miss the target. So if you miss the target, you're essentially sinning literally in the translation. So if you don't have that target that you're aiming for, you're not gonna hit it. If you're jumping in your car and you know you need to go from point A to point wherever, how are you gonna get to the wherever if you don't know?
You won't.
Birmingham to London or Birmingham to Mexico, wherever you might be going, you need to know here to here. And yes, there's going to be squiggles and there's going to be 2 steps back and then another 2 steps back and then 1 step forward and then 10 steps forward and 20 steps. It's not going to be a straight path. You're going to take some wrong turns and you're going to have to reevaluate, but you need to at least be aware of the goal and really dig into that. I think that's something people do at the beginning of a business. Like, what am I actually trying to achieve here? Like for me, mine is making work optional. Like I will still work when I'm in a position where it's like, hey, I never need to, touch a computer again, anything like this, because I think I would just be getting bored if I was
yes,
I want to be into margaritas for the rest of my life. That would bore the heck out of me. But equally, I want to be in that position where it's like, yeah, I'm choosing to do something, because if you're choosing to do something, you're in that great position where no one's going to work as hard as you because you love doing what you do. So they're not going to work as hard. And again, touching on low barrier to entry. So I saw a great analysis of 100 people. For 100 people, there's one other person out there, similar to say you and I. So maybe you're my competition let's say in this sort of vague sense of like someone that's actually going to be doing the work. It's 80% just get taken out straight away. No, it's like 15%, narrows it down. It's like 2 people out of every 100 that try entrepreneurship are really actually going for it and really sort of balls to the wall, as we say in England.
I love it, man. Oh my gosh, Mike, this has been a great conversation. Really, I thank you again for coming on. Your last couple of questions as we can kind of wrap up the episode. So oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm saying this, but we're almost halfway through 2025. So what does the rest of 2025 look like for you? You got some big goals on the horizon?
Yeah, my 12-month plan, scale to 500K MRR, and whilst also growing this other clothing business on the side.
Yep.
Between that, got a few things I can't really discuss yet that I would have loved to be able to share, but
yep.
And no, at the moment, eyes on the prize, working every day, trying to enjoy life a little bit more as well. Trying to find the balance. It's a difficult one. My grandfather always said moderation in everything, especially moderation.
Yes.
Moderation. Anything in life worth doing is worth overdoing. Moderation is for cowards. So I'm trying to find that balance between the two of, hey, like maybe enjoy 2025 a little bit more as well. Like, you have worked for however long without any actual holiday in probably like 4 years. I don't know. That's why I went to the beach, got a bit sunburned. We get there.
Well, I think that's really important. I think where it's like work hard, yes, but work with intentionality, right? So you can play and have a good time, and then rest too. I think that's, like you said, take a holiday after 4 years.
Yeah, and I mean a bit like we were just mentioning, like people setting themselves up almost for failure in terms of like not knowing their goals. Like my goal is that again I can enjoy my life. Like my business is there to, yes, enjoy my work, but also so I can enjoy my life and spend time with my family and go where I want to go. So we always used to ask people a question, which is most important to you, time, location, or money freedom? And God, everyone would always say like, oh, well, time because the most valuable asset you ever had. Like that was quoted to me a bunch of times. It's like, sure, that makes sense. But so if I gave you all the time in the world, but you didn't have the location you wanted and you had no money, you'd be fine with that? Oh, no, of course not. Right. Well, so maybe it's location. Okay, so if you're in the best place you want in the world in Mexico, but you're living in the streets and you have no time to yourself and you have no money, would that be fine? And it's like they don't realize you need to get that financial freedom in place in order to then start layering on top the time and location freedoms that you want in balance and how you want that. But again, just really think people, maybe this is why AI has become the companion that it has. That's the number one reason people are using it, is they don't really know what they want. And maybe with this social media world and this whole virtual world and post-COVID world, maybe I should say, is people don't know what they want and they're lacking social interaction. Usually you'd speak to your friends about what they're planning on doing, and your friends would be motivating you and incentivizing you in that sense. And maybe now not so much, hey? Hopefully we see a better, like we were talking about before. All right. I think that might be the case.
I think you might be right, man. Well, gosh, it's been, like we said, we could talk for probably all day, but Macka, if anybody out there listening either, wants to engage with you as, getting some outreach in their business, or maybe they're looking for a tracksuit or two, where can they find out more about you?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you're more interested in the business side of things, qualityclientacquisitions.com, that's my website. You can see my name. It's a bit of a difficult one to put into LinkedIn. So maybe we can just drop that one. We'll drop a link to
we'll drop a link.
That. Or if you're looking for a tracksuit, it's Pembo. It's obviously ITS, Pembo, PEMBO on Instagram. And hey, maybe I can make some custom tracksuits for some people if they're interested. Just be well aware this is the most expensive tracksuit you're ever going to come to. And if you're not willing to spend $1,000 on a tracksuit, I'm not the guy for you, okay? I spend 80 hours on each tracksuit. So don't come to me just hoping for ideas and inspiration. I haven't got the time for that, I'm afraid. They're very bad. So you can shoot me a message, and maybe if you've got the follow-up, maybe
There you
go. We can close the loop on that one.
I love it. Macka, thank you so much again for coming on today. Anybody out there listening, as always, thank you guys so much for listening. It means a ton to both of us that you guys have taken some time out of your day to listen to us talk. And we'll see you guys next time.